Indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
The time, date, and location of this meeting was published in the Asbury Park Press and posted on the bulletin board in the office of the Township of Lakewood at least 48 hours in advance. The public has the right to attend this meeting, and reasonable comprehensive minutes of this meeting will be available for public inspection. This meeting meets the criteria of the Open Public Meetings Act. Mr. Grunberger.
Here.
Mr. Franklin.
Here.
Mr. Hiverson.
Here.
Mr. Flansbaum. Mr. Herzl.
Here.
Mr. Renner. Mr. Coleman.
Here.
Ms. Zagrafos. Yes, it is on. I will double check while our professionals are sworn in.
Professionals, please.
State name for residents.
Yes, Dave Magno.
Raise your hand. Do you swear affirm testimony you give this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
At this time, I would like to turn over the chair to Deputy Mayor Marshall.
Good evening, members of the planning board, professionals, members of the public. Unfortunately, tonight I able to bring you bad news. Unfortunately, the passing of longtime planning board member Gina Catilla. Gina made a tremendous asset to the board. Was the person who came to the meetings and was always there to be of assistance. Unfortunately, he passed away, and at this time, we want to thank his wife for always being the one to drive him to the meetings, from the meetings, and take her at the meetings. So we certainly want to give that appreciation as well. In remembrance of Mr. Catilla, I think it would be very appropriate if we all stand and give a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. Mr. Chairman, the seat will be filled at this upcoming Township Committee meeting this Thursday. The resolution and more information before the council.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Marshall. And to show this, Mr.
Ellie, I think we should start with first, any changes to the agenda? Let's do that first.
There is an outright change. The sixth application, ST 2188 for Aaron Sperber. I did advise the applicant as well as Ms. DeMaria, who's representing Harrogate, an objector in that case. Early this morning, I was advised that we would not have a quorum for this application, given that we do have 5 members here, but I know one of the members here is not able to sit on that application. I wasn't able to get anybody else to attend tonight. It is, high vacation season right now, as you know. So we will be carrying that meeting. I recommend that we carry that application, I recommend that we carry it to our next regular meeting, which is August 22nd, and make the requisite legal announcement so that the applicant doesn't have to renotice.
Members of the public.
Members of the public, please be advised that item number 6 on the agenda, SC 2188, Aaron Sperber, minor subdivision, will not be heard tonight. It will be carried to the next regular meeting, August 22nd, held at this meeting hall at 6 p.m.
Thank you very much. Ellie, I don't know how long we're going to have a quorum tonight, so I would like to start with the schools first.
Yes,
Was it right before September?
I know we had discussed that. We do have 2 schools on tonight, so we're going to be taking those first. The first is listed as number 3 on the agenda. It's SP 2241 for Congregation Talmud Torah. It's a major site plan for a school located on Pine Street. It is located on some existing parcels. It is to be located on a future individual lot, pending the approval of a minor subdivision for this board. By this board, which Mr. Jackson had indicated wasn't acceptable at this time to hear that school site plan, even though that subdivision has not been approved yet. It can simply be conditioned upon approval of the same.
Subject to being approved.
Correct.
And when will that subdivision be approved?
Our next meeting, which is August 22nd, and I will let Mr. Magno go over any variances that may be associated with the site plan portion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The application has a few submission waivers to deal with. Since no traffic assessment's been provided, we recommend testimony from a traffic expert be given at the public hearing. And the other waiver, an environmental impact statement, we can support that waiver since there's no environmentally sensitive areas for available map. As far
What do you mean with traffic study? That's mine.
what's that?
That's mine.
That's correct. They should provide testimony on. They haven't provided a traffic assessment or a traffic study.
You want testimony about the traffic?
Something should be given testimony.
On record.
Correct. Assuming, of course, that you're willing to waive the traffic study in lieu of testimony. And then as far as zoning, relief is required from perimeter landscape buffer and also off-street parking within the buffer area. The new architectural plans show a change number in the off-street parking spaces from the previous plan submitted. It appears that no parking variance is now required for the number of spaces like there was in the initial submission. And then there's a design waiver required for the width of the driveway. The exit driveway is 33 foot wide, which is wider than the allowable 30.
No, the submission waivers are, well.
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry. Typically, we used to deal with that at the plan review meeting. We can vote on that separately. We often don't. But if you want to vote on the waivers first, I don't know if you want to wait and hear the traffic testimony before granting the waiver of the traffic study.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Miriam Weinstein on behalf of Congregation Talbot Inc. First, I really would like to express my condolences on the loss of Mr. Catilla. He was truly an extraordinary member, and the fact that he used to come even under such adverse conditions when he was not well, and his wife used to drive him. I used to speak to her in the audience, and just want to say, just want to express my condolences. Secondly, on the jurisdictional issue, Ally, I just want to make sure that we appropriately carry the subdivision application. We can do that after this, but I do want to make sure, since notices actually were mailed to all the neighbors within 200 feet, and it was just a glitch that the Asbury Park Press got they got two notices from us with the same applicant. They specifically asked us if they should publish two. We answered them yes, but yet they only published one. So if we could just make sure at some point that we carry that application without further notice to the August 22nd meeting, and we will be publishing it in the newspaper.
With the board's consent, I would say let's just make that announcement now.
Do we need a motion?
I don't believe we need a motion necessarily on the straight-on issue. That's SD 2272.
Same applicant.
Yes.
Okay, members of the public, please be advised that the subdivision application for Congregation Talmud Torah Inc. will be heard at the next regular meeting, August 22nd at 6 p.m. in this meeting hall. No further notice shall be required.
Thank you. Now that the jurisdictional issues are behind us, I'd like to ask the board members to take a look at the rendering that you have in front of you for this new school. I think you will agree that this applicant has really gone above and beyond to create a truly aesthetically beautiful building while maintaining a variance-free application. Truly a role model for all schools. This school will have 150 students next year. It will go through the 6th grade as of next year. Obviously, the goal is for them to get to 8th grade. There is the potential for them to have parallel classes and up to 20 classrooms. There are 3 bus routes that will be picked up. There are roughly 13 teachers on staff at any given time. They do stagger the studies between the older grades and the younger grades, and particularly the English studies. The English studies teachers are not typically at the building at the same time as the morning teachers, so just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with. Without further ado, I would ask that Glenn Wines be sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Can you please?
Glenn Lyons, professional engineer, professional planner, Lakewood, New Jersey.
I take it the board's accepting Glenn's credentials. Okay, Glenn, if you could go ahead and describe the application, particularly the circulation, the traffic, because we do want to address those waivers, and I think the board's waiting to hear about the traffic and circulation first.
This is elementary school?
This is in Boys Elementary School, yes.
Yeah, probably have more than 13 teachers.
They do not, well, that's what I was indicating before. At the moment, they go through 6th grade, so they have primary through 6th, which would be 7 classes, and there are not parallel classes at this point. But there hopefully will be at some point in the future, and most, as we all know, with the growth rate in Lakewood.
We have to accommodate.
Yes, correct.
Okay, based on the, do the traffic portion first, based on the number of students being a maximum of 100 and 150, we're looking at 4 to 5 buses at this time. The parking in the front of the building, we have a dedicated bus lane, which is just under 5 buses long. So you can get 5 buses on property. So you'd have 5 bus trips in and 5 bus trips out twice a day. If you account for all of the parking spaces being used by staff, teachers at any one time, parents, whatever, with 51 parking spaces, we have a maximum of 51 trips in the morning, into the school, 51 trips in the afternoon, spread out over, say an hour or so. And you'll have a few various parents stop by, stop to drop off students in the morning and miss the bus. So altogether, we're talking about less than 100 trips a day in the morning and 100 trips in the afternoon to the school. I think if you look at Pine Street, yes, it's a very busy road, but 100 trips isn't going to make any noticeable difference in the overall traffic on Pine Street. I think for a school this size, their impact is going to be very, very small traffic-wise on the existing infrastructure.
When the school is parallel all the way up, how many buses will there be? School on Friday?
When the school's parallel all the way up, Glenn, we're talking about 18 classes, I'd say maximum of 25 students. And just remember that we always that the times are staggered. The 6th, 7th, and 8th always come earlier for prayer services. And then even between the younger grades, there's usually 2 different levels, and they certainly don't leave all at the same time.
So
I think your testimony is that we never have more than 5 at one time.
we'd probably double the buses, but when you stagger them, you'd have 5 at times. You have about 10 buses spread out over, half an hour, 45 minutes apart. So,
Because your testimony before was that you have enough space for 5 buses in the front.
yes, that
Right, so as long as it's
size.
staggered, then we don't have no problem.
Right.
And it certainly, the busing will be staggered as it is in all boys elementary schools, as you know.
According to the age.
What?
According to the age.
Yes, like I said, the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade always come for prayer services at about 7:30, 7:40. Then you have, the 9 o'clock run, and the dismissals are certainly staggered between the youngest grades, then the intermediary grades, and then the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade leave later than everybody else.
That's really very simple, basic testimony on the traffic. If you have any questions?
First, we need a motion on the waivers.
Correct.
We have a motion, and we will make a motion to vote the waivers. What?
And the environmental impact.
And the environmental impact.
Special waivers.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? No?
I'm sorry, Mr. Hipper
Ms.
said nay on that, I just want to
Are
mark
you
it
nay?
correctly. Thank you.
Good. Okay, continue.
As indicated, we're building a 1,900 square foot building on a 107,000 square foot parcel.
Please talk outside the line.
Property has frontage on Pine Street. We're going to have 2 exits in and out of the property. on the east and west sides of the property. There's a future pool plan, there's basketball courts for recreation, large open area behind the school. The waivers, as Dave indicated, is along the easterly side of the property. We have parking, what would be in a buffer, a landscape buffer area if buffering was required. We are requesting a waiver of buffering. The lot to our direct east is I believe it's a 400-plus foot deep lot, which has a house which fronts on East Spruce Street. So that area is completely wooded right now, as with the rear of the two lots to our south. We would request a waiver of the landscape buffer. The impact, I think, of the school, which is further closer to Pine Street, would be minimal on those adjacent property owners. Trying to go through some other waivers they listed so we can go through those. Landscape buffer. Again, the others was parking in this buffer area to the east side of the building. Again, we do comply with all the parking requirements. We have enough room for buses. The design waiver on the driveway. The easterly driveway is slightly wider than the driveway on the west side. The west side complies. The reason we had to make that a little wider is the turning movements of the buses out on the Pine Street. When the buses come from the front of the school and go in an easterly direction on Pine Street, and they can't make that turning movement in 30 feet. So we made the driveway slightly wider at 33 feet to allow an easy bus turn. They don't go over the center line of the road, they stay in the one lane. If we narrowed that down to 3 feet, that would be our problem. The buses would definitely cross the center line of the road just to come back into Pine Street. So I think the waiver we're requesting for the additional width is...
To make the driveway wider?
Yes. 30 feet is your maximum width in the ordinance.
Yeah.
So we're going to 33 feet.
There's no way a bus can make that.
They would definitely cross over the center line into oncoming traffic. So I think for safety purposes, I think the waivers definitely justified. And we did as little as possible. We're only going 3 feet wide, wider than what's required, permitted. Going through his letter, we discussed the number of students, parking spaces, staff.
Is there anything you don't agree with?
That's what I was looking at. We'll provide site triangles per the UDO. Now, I don't see anything else. No.
There's no dorm, there's a set of stuff.
No, there's no dormitory in this place.
No, this is an elementary school. I saw there was a note that there was conflicting places where it said high school versus elementary. This is a boys' elementary school.
So it's built on a partial slab?
I believe it is, yes.
What partial, and how much is the part that's not built on a slab?
We can call the builder to be affirmed, who probably can answer the questions better.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give before this board will be the truth and whole truth and nothing but the
I
truth?
do.
Your name for the record, sir?
Abe Albeck, Lakewood, New Jersey.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Abe Albeck, A-B-E-L-B. Approximately 4,000 square feet is going to be, should be less than, almost 2,000 square feet is going to be a basement for storage, utilities, but they're not finishing the basement for any other classrooms or anything else like that. The only building what they need, and after whatever they need, is built on the side. So,
There's no outside rent for racing at all. You're not renting it out.
there's no hall, no hall. It's
Strictly
school use only.
Thank you. Any other questions from any board members?
This application is being done on a minor subdivision, is that the property in the back?
Yeah, I can explain that actually.
And I'm sorry, just if I could for 1 minute, in that stack of plans, you do have a copy of the subdivision. I thought you might like to see it, and it's under SD 2272, even though it's not up for consideration tonight.
I'll explain that. Basically, the property that, the current owner of the property is selling them only this piece that fronts on Pine Street. There's a piece in the back that's going to be, I think, future lot 21.01 that fronts actually on East Spruce Street. That is going to be a 20,000 square foot lot in the R20 zone that we're subdividing off of this parcel. So at the moment, the reason this application could be heard, and John felt it could be heard, is because you just have more land than you need. We just would have to subdivide that piece off. The truth is, if the subdivision never takes place, you just have that extra piece of property in the back.
And the subdivision, you're not creating any new variances by subdivision?
We're not creating any new variances, that is correct. There are 2 existing variances. That lot is 90 feet in width, so there's an existing condition for lot width, and I believe that the existing building has a front yard setback that does not conform with the requirements of the R20 zone. But again, those are both existing conditions. We are not creating any new variances by virtue of this subdivision.
Ms. Weinstein, that minor subdivision is actually 3 lots that you're taking down to 2, correct?
That is correct. Yes, the mother lot right now is 3 lots.
Any other questions, any board members? Seeing no one, we'll open it to the public. Anybody from the public who likes to be heard on this application, please come forward. 1 second, Mr. Greenwood.
How wide is the frontage of this property, of the building? How wide is
Glenn,
The frontage on Pine Street is 301 feet, and then because of this America Avenue, there's this little arc in the property line, which you wouldn't notice unless you look at the plan, and that's actually adds about another 45 to 50 feet of lot width.
So if cars, on a day where you won't have customers, cars would line up, carpool or pick up, how many cars can fit up in front of the building before having to go on and start lining up on Pine Street?
Oh, on site?
But you have to talk into the mic.
Yeah, we have a separate bus and car lane, so you could line up about 24 cars at a time along the front of the building in 2 rows. It's separated by a depressed curve.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I affirm this application, I
Sir,
can't,
your name for the record.
Shlomi Klein. On this application, I have to support it because of the people involved. First of all, as the attorney, the engineer, and especially Mr. Berenfeld, the owner of the school. I know him from the past, I know how he dealt with the school, and except of the 2 rabbis that are involved in the school, it's great.
Thank you.
Hold on. Just for educational purposes, this has nothing to do with this application. There's American Avenue over here. That is a paper street. Somebody can ask me that?
Right.
And that, he's asking for a waiver not to develop that?
He doesn't know it.
Well, if it's a paper street, he needs to ask for a waiver.
Okay.
Got you.
There's nothing more than a stub that doesn't go anywhere, and there's just no point in doing anything with it.
But again, he still needs to ask for it. Legally, if there is a paper street,
I guess technically you should ask for a design waiver not to develop it.
And I believe it's only, Mr. Lyons can confirm, I think it's only maybe 10, 20 feet deep at most.
550.
Is that deep?
yes, it's a 50 feet right of way.
There are a number in that area, Mr. Klein, that there is at least another one on that same side of Pine Street that the committee actually vacated because it doesn't go anywhere.
I don't trust the committee.
Hindering access to those properties.
But as this paper street, just for general, whatever, I wouldn't, if it comes to vacate it, I would have object to it for the simple reason that if they don't have enough parking, they should have a place where to overflow to have on-street parking. So just interesting that it was not vacated because the developer should have sold it to make more money. I don't know, something makes, just one more thing for educational purposes, has nothing to do with this. Just, you should make sure to ask for the waiver of the street. One more thing that I'm asking, that he says there's a besmedrish over 800 square feet. How does it work when there's a besmedrish in a school? Does that go into schul's requirement of, that, it's a coming again, question is if you should ask for a parking waiver on that besmedrish. It was probably worked once. The question is if you calculate from the beginning to the, just from 800, it's all argument, but
regardless, you still have, even with that, you still have adequate parking.
how much parking does he have?
51 spots.
And how much is he required?
47.
So if you calculate you need another 9 parking spots, you might need a waiver. I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to make him problems, I'm saying is,
57, right? How many, that's a shul, it's not a shul. But it's not a shul.
One person.
but again, if it's called a shul, in a school, could be they are exempt from parking. But if they're not exempt from parking, it should be on record that they need a waiver. I'm just asking for educational purposes. Do you agree with me? Sorry, I can't cross-examine you, but
We reviewed the parking versus the ordinance for a school site. That's what this project is.
so if there is a besmedrish in a school, what happens then?
I don't know, you need to use English words that are outlined in the
If
ordinance.
there's a shul,
No, I
they
don't
call
know.
it sanctuary, whatever it's called.
I understand your point. There's a separate section of the ordinance for synagogues that's based on the square footage of the main sanctuary. And it's a different section of the
Okay,
ordinance.
so let me just say, I think if this school has, like area that they play, it's part of the school, it's not an outside shul that people are not, it's part of the school, and whatever part of the school needs, that's what.
I agree with the chairman. The only question is, you have to comply with the UDO. And if the UDO requires you to ask for a parking waiver, for good reason, like the chairman just mentioned, they should ask for it. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying is, I agree that this shul is made for the school that they pray for the children. And that's the reason why it's called the shul. But if the UDO requires you to look this as a shul, separate from the school, because it's called a synagogue, then you have to, there's no exemption in the UDO when they're talking about schools. For synagogues in the schools, then you have to deal with it.
Thank you.
The ordinance section only requires parking for classrooms, tutor rooms, meeting rooms, offices, and libraries. Those 5 items. That's what's in the ordinance, that's what we reviewed it against.
So that means is if a shul is not in the requirement, it's exempt. That's how you read it. So I'm just giving you for future reference. If there's a simcha hall in the school, it should also be exempt because it's not in that category. I'm saying is in technicality, the next application that has a simcha hall in the school should be exempt accordingly to your definition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else in the public like to be heard? Please raise your right hand and state your name.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Your name, sir?
I am Klein. Good evening. I live on East Bruce. I live back to the school. I just want to maybe bring up a few points. I'm not totally opposing the building. Going for the sake of the traffic on Pine. When you go down Albert onto Pine, it's a lot of times backed up. And partially is because the view you can't always see. You can't always see to your right, the car's coming, and it'll hold traffic more. One of you put in should be a no parking from Albert till the school, so it doesn't block the view of the school, of the people driving. And also, on the Fridays when there are dismissals not staggered, at least the buses will at least overflow there, that it doesn't hold up the whole street and keep the traffic flowing.
The parking has nothing to do with the planning board. It's traffic and safety, it's a police department. They
Okay,
decide.
fine.
The council can
I got that.
recommendation, but I think that's about it.
Okay, fine. Another thing, being that there's no hearing on the subdivision, being as next door to me, I just want to bring up that there should not be any openings from the school to East Spruce. Should only be on Pine. I just want it to be on record in case some reason subdivision does not happen, that there should be no opening going on to East Spruce from the school for some reason. One more thing, being back to back, I spoke to the director of the school. I just want to have on record that there should be at least an 8-foot fence and agreed upon trees that should interfere with the residential neighborhood that we're back to back. They agreed to it, but if we could put on record, there should be an 8-foot fence and privacy or tall trees, so we don't get in each other's ways and frosted windows.
Yes.
Just agree or disagree?
I would agree to put an 8-foot chain link fence with privacy slats. With the privacy slats, this one stand.
Plus trees, we got.
Tree panels is have to maintain the grade.
And trees?
And trees.
Thank you.
If there are providing 6-foot high trees.
There's no windows.
Okay, thank you for.
And just, Mr. Klein, there's no windows in the back, so there's really nothing to frost. I don't know which windows you're referring to that you wanted frosted. Which 4 windows are you talking about?
Turn around, there are windows in stairwell.
One at a time.
The 4 windows that he's requesting to be frosted, the applicant agrees to
If there's
frost.
any windows in the back, you'll frost, that's it. You're saying there's no windows? But if
There
there
are
is-
apparently are 4 windows that the applicant has agreed with Mr. Klein, the neighbor, to frost.
No problem.
So
Thank you. You agree with everything I have?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Anybody else in the public like to be heard in this application? Seeing no one come forward, we'll close it to the public. Can I have the motion on this?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, before you make the motion, I would make the request, actually, I actually would agree with Mr. Klein, the first Mr. Klein that spoke, Shlomo Klein, and we would ask that the board act on that waiver with regard to America Avenue.
I'll make the motion. One second, and if you need a waiver on the parking of the shul, we ask you.
Oh, the parking of the shul, that I didn't say I agree with him. Every boys' school has a, what he called the base medrash. I mean, in the case of an elementary school, it's really an assembly room that has an ark in it where the boys pray. It's not a shul that's open to the public.
Part of the function of this.
That is correct.
It's not open to the public.
It is not open to the public.
State that on the record.
I am stating on the record, that shul is not open to the public. It is for the boys and the faculty of the school to pray in, and that's it.
We have a motion.
It's a design waiver, not a submission waiver, so the design waiver can be granted along with the entire.
There's a question, how about renting out the school? There's no rentals. A lot of schools I see that are small, they'll build a bigger building and rent out part of the school. So you have 2 schools going on at the same time.
There's no plan for rental of this building.
Okay, I just want to make a motion to approve this application.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr.
Mr. Henderson seconds.
Mr. Grunberger.
Yes.
Mr. Franklin.
Yes.
Mr. Hipperson.
Yes.
Mr. Herzl.
Yes.
Mr. Fulmer.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, the second school on the agenda is actually located
Please
just
leave quietly.
on the other side of the same block of the last application. This is SP 2249AA for Congregation Nabas Yisrael. It's a change of use site plan exemption to convert an existing home to a school.
Everyone second. Please leave quietly, we have a lot of work to do. David, would you like to go over
Yes.
2249A?
Yes. Zoning, there is a pre-existing variance condition with respect to lot width. The lot width is 90 feet, and it's an existing condition where 100 foot is required. And they are asking for the design waivers as listed in the letter, sidewalk, curb, landscaping.
We're no longer asking,
Okay.
we're no longer asking for these sidewalk.
James, one second. There's no architectural system?
No. I'll let the applicant give testimony on that. We did just have the plan review meeting this morning. They indicated they did not know architectural plans are required. It's a very small building. It's an
We need to
existing,
go outside to allow this to.
it is an existing house that's being converted for the use of the school, I believe temporarily, but I'll let the applicant go through that.
Sorry.
Okay, anyhow, before they testify, let me just give you the list of design waivers, sidewalk, curb, landscaping, shade trees along with shade tree utility easement, site lighting, topography, grading, and a bus drop-off pickup area. And then the applicant can address some of those that are now going away from previous discussions, and we can discuss which ones are going away and which ones they're asking for.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Adam Pfeffer, the applicant. Just, again, as Dave indicated, this is but for an existing lot frontage variance. Again, the property is 90 feet, has 90 feet of frontage, required is 100 feet. The only variance we're seeking for is an existing variance there. The building is an existing residential home. It's a small home. We are looking for some waivers, but we are no longer requesting the waiver for a sidewalk along East Spruce front, East Spruce Street, frontage of the site, and we will provide curbing along East Spruce Street, frontage of the site. So those first two waivers are no longer being requested. As far as the landscaping, the redevelopment waivers, it's an existing house with existing landscaping. This is a very small building. There's going to be 2 classrooms in this entire home. So it's not like we're adding anything else. Whatever's existing there, we think is sufficient, and the balance of them are
Basically, you're not making any changes. Anything you'll go to.
correct.
No changes to the outside of the building.
Correct.
Chairman, you can see on the aerial, if I may, how teeny this house is compared to some, of course, there's a school next door which is much larger, a school, I believe.
Yeah.
But even compared to the other houses, it's a very small building.
How many students are you in there?
We have, we'll get to the testimony, but it's maximum, somewhere between 30 and 40 students maximum. But right now, we're not even near that number.
Could fit 40, that's more than us.
You're standing.
But we'll address all the testimony, that's those who go to testimony. I guess at this point, if we could ask for the waivers, I guess would be, or if you want us to go through the whole application, we'll go through the whole application. Just for everybody in.
So, since they're design waivers, if you go through the whole application, then they can finalize on it.
That's fine. So this time, if I could swear in Glenn Lyons.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Your name and the record?
Glenn Lyons, professional engineer, professional planner, Lakewood, New Jersey.
And just confirm the board accepts Glenn's testimony as an expert.
Yes.
Glenn, you got an opportunity to review the August 1st letter. If you can, just walk us through it.
Yes, as you indicated, we do require the one existing lot width variance. For converting the house, basically they're going to go in, renovate the house, turn it into 2 classrooms with a bathroom. Looking at, initially when they open, maybe 8 students per classroom, up to a maximum of 15 students to 20 students per classroom, or maximum 40 students total.
What's the square footage of
It's
Approximately 1,200
square feet. So,
About 400 square foot for a classroom with a
Yeah.
bathroom.
yeah,
Which is
maybe
a store.
correct. Again, it's an existing lot on East Spruce Street. We're providing 2 off-street parking spaces, 1 for each teachers. We're not, we have permission from the school next door to our east for any drop-off purposes, or for, like as you asked on the last application, Friday afternoon, the kids are getting out, they're going to come in, park, go through there, so they wouldn't be on East Spruce Street. We will provide curb, sidewalk, and the shade tree easement. We'd like to hold off on any other improvements as far as lighting, landscaping, until at some point in the future there would be, another application for this property for a bigger school, a regular school.
What's adjacent to the school? On one side you have a school, on the other side.
There's a school on one side and I believe another residential house.
Yeah, there's a dark house here.
Which owns the school? It belongs to the act.
If not, I need some gators, some trees, and
It belongs to the act.
Lunch, is there anything to report to issue with?
No, we really, it's really just a change of use. We're going to do building renovations. We have no problem with the improvements along the front of the property requested. And I think everything else is just, it points out
No buses,
waivers.
nothing, right? There are buses and then.
No, there are no buses, there'll be a van drop off. That's it.
And garbage.
Garbage again, we go out to the street, because it's a very small building, it's a very small building.
40 students, create garbage.
We don't have 40 students, that's the maximum, the question was, what's the maximum amount of students we can put here? Right now, there are approximately 15 students in the whole school.
John, are you okay with it? Mr. Frank? You okay with rolling out the garbage to the street? Or they need a?
So again, the reason for
We're
the,
gonna check with public works first anyway.
correct. And the reason why we're asking for the landscape waivers, as you can see on the picture, there's existing landscaping there. Start throwing, put more stuff in that may get ripped down later on when they come back for a larger building, which doesn't make any sense. And
There's nobody living in this school, no dorm, no.
no door.
Just the two classrooms, that's it. And a
Anything
bathroom.
else that you want to build, you have to come back.
You have to come back, we're 100%.
Is this school the same school as the one next door?
Not to the right. It's a different, there's another school, that large building you're looking at on the
Yeah.
video, that's not the same school.
I
We're the
think it's
building right
same
to
name.
the.
Looks like it's the same name.
It's the same name.
What are we,
Not the same one that got
The
the
owner
picture?
is, you have to respond one at a time.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do a valid Lakewood, New Jersey. If the owner is the same as Congregation Mount Pleasant Straw, it is. He's not, he's opened elementary school for like literally 15 students. It's small. It's not the same owner. He owns the same property on the left also, which is staying. But he can eventually come back for a full approval. Right now, it's the same owner. That's why he's allowing himself for public use. If he ever needs any, parking overflow, but it's not.
So, have we ever given any approval of like in time, like up to X amount of years, X amount of students? Can we do that? Like,
I believe it's been discussed, I don't know how enforceable it is.
Yeah, it's
so
not.
how many, like, if you're
It's
gonna
not a it's maximum 40 students.
You physically can't fit. It's too small.
Physically, but he has to come back to the
Yes,
board.
come back.
Well, once he has the change of use, he can go ask for temporary trailers and get as many as he wants.
The trailers has a minimum, has a maximum every 2 years, and they stop it.
Yeah,
It's
but
not-
that's a stop. How can we stop that? With the trailer parks along 4th Street and stuff like that.
I'm not doing that.
How can we stop that? Because that's, it just kills the neighborhood.
I think the ordinance permits them for a temporary time period. The ordinance would have to be changed to not permit them.
That's not what we're looking for here.
No, it's just,
The building is too small.
no, it is.
That's what it has to be done.
And actually working on new plans, and actually come back to a whole site, but this is right now, just let the school start.
Any other questions, any board members? Seeing no one, we'll open to the public. Anybody from the public like to be heard of this application?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I affirm.
Your name?
Shlomo Klein. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against schools, but I have a problem with this application. When an applicant comes in and he's not telling you guys what he's planning to do, he's just hiding behind a veil of secrecy, that's what I have a major problem. I have no problem you approving schools and them telling you exactly what he wants to do. The way I look at it, I don't know if the board wants to play dumb, but me as a member of the public seeing this, he wants to put in trailers. He doesn't need to come to the board to put in trailers. All he needs from you guys is a change of use. And once he has the change of use, he goes to Francine Siegel, the zoning officer, and he gets as much trailers as he wants. And he got it. So the applicant should come in over here. We had it in the past. The applicant comes in over here, doesn't tell the board And the board caught him on guard. Are you putting in trailers? No. And then he had to come back because he put in the resolution, no trailers. You caught him on his words. And I think the applicant wants to put in trailers. And the reason why I'm telling you that is, this is where if somebody wants to come, before there was the ordinance that for any change of use you have to come into the board. I did once a change of use, I didn't have to come to the board. Went to Francine Siegel, got a change of use. Then they made it is that they have to come to the board. When we went to Francine, not Francine Siegel then, it was a different zoning officer, but when we went then to get the change of use, we had to give architectural plans. This guy didn't give any architectural plans. Whenever you see somebody coming in with an application without architectural plans, you should know he's fooling you. There's no way in this small building that he's proposing over here that, I just looked at it, that you could fit in 2 classrooms, and you go in over here, tell me how it works. You go into one classroom, so the other kids from the other classroom will have to go to the bathroom, will have to go through to this classroom, and I'm not talking about the lunchroom where they eat and all that. It's the reason why he didn't put in architectural plans, because it's not possible for him to do it. And he's not planning to do it, he just wants to put in trailers and he's fooling you around. So put him on the record, make him tell you the truth, what he's planning to do. Again, I'm not objecting for him to put in trailers, but let's not play the fool game. He fools you, you play dumb, and this is going on. There's a reason why the UDO requires him to give architectural plans. Why is he getting special treatment that he doesn't have to do? Again, I'm not against schools. You could approve trailers, but let him be on record with the truth, what is exactly planning to do. Thank you very much.
Everybody else?
Anybody else on the public like to be heard? Seeing none, we'll close it to the public. Okay. Adam, could you state for the record?
I think that's very simple.
Students.
It's a small school, they came here, they need a place for next year, they don't know where to go. Am I a prophet? Do I know it's going to be in 2 years? I have no clue. All I know right now is, planning putting on trailers. I do not want to be restricted. They're coming for a school. Why is no plan for our house? Because it's a simple house. It's 2-bedroom house, a 12-inch square foot house is going to be small classrooms. It's a school that's starting out. Not putting the name of the school because that's irrelevant. Because it's an English school that's coming here. They need a small place for the school to start. Mr. Klein can sit and say whatever he wants to say. It's irrelevant. That's totally independent. Anyway, this is a small school. It's coming here to start. I'm not trying an old trailer complex on Cross Street. It's not the intention of this at all. At the same time, I'm not going to put restrictions. I don't know what's going to be in 2 years. If the school decides before they actually go for a full building plan, they need a small trailer to do a tie them over for a year, well, that's what it's there for. It's not the intention.
That's not one problem. It's not putting trailers in any park.
That's an excellent point. That's excellent point.
How do you prevent it?
That's an excellent question, and unfortunately, it's not.
The difference here is, as you already indicated, the school next door is the same owner, both to the left and the right.
And I'm not planning on putting a whole trailer park. That's not the intention of this at all.
Next door has access.
And access parking, yes. And the intention.
Dedicate to the school as much as you.
If he needs, again, let me emphasize, the intention here is not to come here and try to put a trailer park. It's not the intention. Same time, I'm not going to
It's intention, but I have to prevent.
I understand. So I think so. That's a fair point you bring up with the planning board that have any school that schools on Cross should have 25, 30, 50,000 square foot of trailers and never went to any planning board. That's a fair point. You're right. How do they calculate parking? I don't answer to that. But this should not be. This application should not be the punching bag for a flaw.
So would you agree that if you do a trailers, you will designate more parking?
That's a fair request. I will tell Francine, we'll allocate these 5 spots, and whatever the classroom, the trails will require, we'll allocate these spots, we'll do that. That's a fair request.
So you put it on record that if you do have trailers.
If you do have trailers, for the building, we'll designate X amount of park. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You will supply the parking education.
Either on-site or off.
Or off-site, next door, whatever it is. Yes, that's a fair request. Thank you.
Any board members would like to make a motion on this application? Okay, Mr. Harrison moves. Do we have a second? Mr. Newberger seconds. Roll.
Mr. Grunberger.
Yes.
Mr. Franklin.
Yes.
Mr. Hipperson.
Yes.
Mr. Herzl.
Yes.
Mr. Coleman.
Yes.
Thank you.
We do have 3 extensions, which I believe we could get through rather quickly.
which we table.
I believe we have a board member who needs to leave at 7, so I think we're only going to be here for a few more minutes. I think it would be best to get the extensions done so that they don't expire, and then carry what we have to carry. SD 2185, this is number 8 on tonight's calendars for Mark Properties. It's an extension of a previously approved minor subdivision to create 2 lots from 1 on Netherwood.
It's on a county road, they're close to getting done, they need an extension. Yes.
When do you, how long do you extension?
We'd like a 1-year extension, that would give us breathing room with the county engineer, hopefully, that's something that's simple that would work.
It's just paper, we don't expect any changes.
No, correct. If there's any changes, we would have to come back.
We have a motion, we have a second on the extension.
So moved.
We have a motion on the second, roll call.
Mr. Grunberger.
Yes.
Mr. Franklin.
Yes.
Mr. Hipperson. Mr. Herzl.
Yes.
Mr. Pullman.
Thank you.
Following that is SD 2186 for Pinchos Walhender. It's an extension of a minor subdivision to create 3 lots from 2 on East 7th.
As one of our requirements in the application, back portion of the property on East 7th as some wetlands or wetlands buffer. We just got the LOI back, notification back from the state yesterday.
Oh, that was just submitted to my office today.
Right. So we submitted to the township, we have to submit it to the county. We have some paperwork to take care of to finish up the application. We should be done within the next 3 to 6 months, so we request a 6-month extension.
We have a motion. Mr. Pullman, motion, Mr. Hipperson, second.
Yeah, I would.
We just do.
We don't do 6 months.
The roll call, please.
Mr. Grunberger.
Yes.
Mr. Franklin.
Yes.
Mr. Hipperson. Mr. Herzl.
Yes.
Mr. Pullman.
Yes.
And the last extension is SD 2001 for Joseph and Renee Klein, creating 2 lots from 1 on East 8th Street.
Joseph Klein?
Kashuba, possibly? Well, I guess. Okay, because like to. Brian actually may be familiar with this property. It's over here near the railroad tracks. You probably remember.
Yes, and I did have an applicant say if Ms. Chuba doesn't show up tonight, and again, we're asking for a 1-year extension. It's a complicated piece of property, we're close to done, and we'd like the extension.
Motion and a second, roll call.
Mr. Grunberger.
Yes.
Mr. Franklin.
Yes.
Mr. Hipperson.
Yes.
Mr. Herzl.
Yes.
Mr. Pullman.
Yes.
Thank you.
What do we have left on the?
We have a minor subdivision on Clare Drive. To be perfectly frank, I don't know who most of the audience is here for, but we have a minor subdivision on Clare Drive. We have the Prospect Street subdivision and synagogue site plan. Looks like that's it. That's left for tonight.
Mr. Listen, which one are you on?
I'm on both Prospect Streets, and I have about 10 or 11 objectors here.
We will not be heard tonight.
Well, if we can just know when it will be heard.
Yes.
Our next meeting is August 22nd. We can try for that unless the applicant is interested in going for September 5th, but everything from August that doesn't get heard is going to end up there. So.
8/22. No further notice, please.
Okay, SD and SD, both of them?
Both Prospect Streets, yeah, SD 2208 and 2231. That means the 22nd, right?
Correct.
Okay, members of the public, please be advised that items 4 and 5 on the agenda, SD 2208 and SP 2231, those are Prospect Street Holdings LLC, will not be heard tonight. They will be carried to our meeting August 22nd at 6 p.m. in this meeting hall. No further notice will be provided.
Thank you very much.
Only one we have left is number one.
Declare Drive minor subdivision to create 5 lots from, I do this every time, 13, 14, 15, from 4. Thank you. If you don't want to open it, you can, but it is 7 o'clock, I believe Mr. Coleman's going to go, so.
Yes, we have to, August 22nd. All in favor, August 22nd? Number one to August 22nd. Announce it, please.
Members of the public, please be advised, item number 1 on the agenda, SD 2266 Claire Drive LLC will be carried to our meeting August 22nd at 6 p.m. in this meeting hall with no further notice provided.
Thank you.
Public portion, anyone in the public like to be heard? Close the public portion minutes. All in favor? Aye. Approval of bills? All in favor?
Question, just in general, regarding those 2 Prospect ones we just carried, and we also have that Garrett, which is the warehouse in the industrial park. I believe Liston is on all 3 of those. Have we put those at the end of the agenda on the 22nd? Everything else on the 22nd looks non-controversial. I would tend to think Liston may possibly, there were a lot of attorneys